From KTSM, check this out. New Mexico judge's wife in ICE custody following alleged Tren de Aragua member investigation. So we've got a bunch of different stories on this already. And this story's been evolving. Look at this one from KFOX 14. Home of ex-judge raided after claims of hosting Tren de Aragua gang member in Las Cruces. So this is a guy, my understanding, he was a judge and he resigned after they found he was harboring a Tren de Aragua dude. And then we've got this from Wid Lindman that originally reported that he was arrested, detained/arrested. And you can see in this video, check this out. You can see that they got his wife. ICE is arresting his wife. I don't know why. Maybe she's an illegal immigrant or something. And then you can see the judge himself is in cuffs. I think that's what led to most people believing that he was getting arrested. But apparently he has been released. That's the latest update. And they do have his wife in custody. So we don't know much more beyond this, but I will say, actually, I should add to this. Judge Joel Cano is banned from the New Mexico Supreme Court after the alleged Tren de Aragua gang member was arrested in his home. So they're saying alleged. We can see this photo that's gone viral, claiming to be him with this TdA gang member. Yeah, I'm going to say it. If you're wondering why Democrats are so hell-bent on defending MS-13, Tren de Aragua illegal immigrants, I think in some instances, they may be family. I think in some instances, they may be in on the take. And I don't think like Senator Van Hollen is getting paid off or whatever. But I think at the granular level, the reason why we're seeing a New Mexico judge who they've reported is a Democratic judge. He's being detained and his wife being arrested. And they're harboring this guy in their home. That's the allegation. I think along the border especially, and in sanctuary states, what you're going to find is we got a great sponsor. It's Lear Capital. Go to leartim.com. That's Lear Tim.com. And you're going to get yourself some gold and silver. Trump's trying to make America great again. It's not going to happen overnight. Personally, I have held gold and silver for a very long time. I bought my first silver probably 20 years ago. And to be completely honest, I even have a large box of copper. I literally do. There's a copper ingot out in the other room. I just think it's good to have a store of value, diversify it where you can. Now, the crazy thing is gold skyrocketed with news of tariffs and what's been going on internationally. People have been getting cold feet. So gold spiked up to, I think it's at like 3,400. Goldman Sachs, the same experts who are predicting 3,200 an ounce are saying it could reach $4,500 an ounce or more. So while the government can print, borrow, and run recurring budget deficits, you can't do this. Your retirement, your savings, your pension, 401k are fixed income accounts, so you're not going to get a bailout. That's why more Americans are acquiring gold and silver to protect their money and their own financial future. I bought a bunch a while ago, just put in a safe, and it's been a great store of value. So Lear Capital, it's an education-first company. You got no pressure to buy. 24-hour risk-free purchase guarantee, over 25 years in business with over 3 billion trusted transactions, thousands of 5-star reviews. You got a lot of companies to choose from, but Lear, these are our guys, and we really do appreciate their sponsoring the show. Take a positive step to protect your wealth. Call Lear Capital. You've got this number if you'd like to purchase gold and silver, 1-800-489-6450, or like I said, leartim.com, and you can get a free gold and silver investor kit. A special offer to the viewers of Timcast IRL. First-time buyers can get up to $15,000 in bonus gold or silver with a qualifying purchase. So again, leartim.com or call 1-800-489-6450. Shout out Lear. I really do appreciate the sponsorship. Trump has been referring to them as homegrown terrorists. These are MS-13 comes into this country. They have kids. Those kids grow up, and they're friends and family members with other people. These older people may then, through either a path of citizenship or otherwise, get positions of power in local government. And when we're dealing with a 20 or 30-year problem, I don't think anyone should be surprised to find that there are TdA, MS-13, and other narco gang-affiliated individuals working in the judiciary or in police, or even like there were reports a few years ago, MS-13 was actually in our armed forces because they intentionally enlist to get in and build that influence. So this is kind of freaky. I don't know what you guys think. You think Democrats are in on the take?
I'm not so, I don't know, have a sense whether they're in on the take, but it does make sense that people in gangs would do what they can to make contacts with people in the judiciary, people in law enforcement.
I just wanted to add that maybe it's more of like an in-law situation, because it sounds to me, based on this detail, that this guy might have been dating the judge's daughter.
Really?
Oh.
I don't know. I'm reading into it too much, but it says, according to a press release from the Justice Department, investigators found social media posts depicting Ortega Lopez posing with multiple guns, some of which were allegedly supplied by April Cano, is that how you say it? The judge's daughter, who allowed him to hold and sometimes shoot various firearms, the agency said, which I would guess belonged to her. And I just don't know why that would ever happen unless they were friends or boyfriend and girlfriend.
Now imagine this.
And living in the guest house
Yeah.
as well, together.
You're a judge, and you know what? Like, I don't know, is he like a district judge or like a local judge or something? And your daughter's got a guy who's coming around, and you find out he's TdA or MS-13 or something. You're going to go out and do everything in your power to be like, no, Trump is bad. Don't investigate this for any reason. Please stop, because you're like, uh-oh.
Some biases, obviously.
That's the family connection I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a little lighter. Like his daughter met a TdA guy and she brought him over, and he was like, I'm totally okay with this. You know?
Or he could at least claim ignorance after the fact, or maybe they'd be like, I didn't even know he was like living in the guest house.
Why is
just saw that our electricity bill was going up or something.
Why is the wife getting arrested?
That is weird. So if they were engaging in criminal activity like, as accomplices to the gang member, they would be just arrested by
Regular
their
police.
Yeah,
If
local
he was,
police.
if she was
not
picked up by
ICE.
there's you know, it would lead you to believe that there is something to do with immigration. You know.
Yo, they're saying it's being reported that this is a tenant of theirs, and they said that the wife of a former judge was taken. And I want to stress the former is like what, a week ago, was taken into custody after federal law enforcement learned their tenant, who was an alleged Tren de Aragua member, was arrested at the judge's home. They say on April 24th, ICE executed a search warrant and probable cause arrest at a residence in the address. Homeland Security Investigation Special Agents, working with federal law enforcement partners, took Nancy Cano into custody as part of an ongoing HSI-led criminal investigation.
So they did that say that the parents knew that he was allegedly?
No.
If that's the case, if that's the case, if he got arrested or whatever, they should have gone. If they were not, complicit or whatever, they would have gone directly to the law enforcement.
It goes on to say, as we previously reported, former Doña Ana County Magistrate Judge Joel Cano rented out his casita to Christian Ortega Lopez at the behest of his wife last year. They met Ortega Lopez when his wife hired him to do housework, according to a criminal complaint. According to court documents obtained by KTSM, the Supreme Court and Third Judicial District Court received his resignation letter March 31st. So this is like a month ago. They say it's unknown if Cano's wife knew of the gang affiliation. I doubt that.
Well, his daughter sure did.
I mean, if they were shooting guns and doing a bunch of stuff, it's not. I want to say it's a guarantee because people are allowed to shoot guns, but that kind of.
Okay, but he's not. He's not allowed to possess or use them.
I mean, he's not allowed to be here.
I'm sure he has a criminal record too. It wouldn't be that difficult to do a simple background check, considering the guy's a judge and the guy's living and the criminal's living with them.
Do you think they were like under duress, possibly
Unlikely.
having to shelter this guy under threat?
I will tell you this. I do have some sympathy if you are like a local judge and TdA comes to you and says, we're going to hurt your children and your families who do what we're told. I do sympathize. But then if you decide to help them, you go to prison for that.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I'm sorry. Like, we watch movies and the kidnapper, he's like, if you go to the police, I'll kill your daughter. And I'm like, you should call the police. Like, what do you think you're going to do by yourself? I don't know what to tell you. This judge has zero excuse. Zero.
Absolutely.
Former judge, I guess.
This
Democrat.
I like the way that sounds. Yeah, I mean, I don't see how he hasn't made everything worse for himself, right? Like he definitely, if you're a judge, you definitely have the ability to do a background check, like we were talking about. I'm sure that he has plenty of friends in law enforcement. His wife got picked up for a reason. I don't know for sure that she's here illegally, but I imagine if ICE is picking her up, maybe they're gonna.
She was aiding and abetting.
But even still, that wouldn't be
illegal
immigration.
crossings.
It would still be regular
Right.
law enforcement. The only thing that ICE is for immigration.
Yeah.
So I mean, maybe unless they're picking her up for the other cops.
I think people need to consider something when we're seeing this story. That if you're wondering how sanctuary cities operate, it's not like Gavin Newsom sits there and picks up his gavel and then bangs it and says, no more arresting illegal immigrants. It's that when you let in, I think at this point, the estimates are upwards of 40 million illegal immigrants. Because I'm not talking about in the past 4 years, I'm talking about of all time. They are going to have family and friends in positions of power, and that is root corruption. And then you're going to have a cop or a judge, and they're going to have friends and they're going to have family members. And so when they come across the illegal immigrant and they're like, hey, I'm from this place, don't arrest me, the guy goes, you got it, buddy. Stay safe out there. This is the destruction of American community. We talked about this with Reagan's amnesty back in, I think it was like the 80s or whatever. You had a bunch of people who came to this country illegally. Reagan gave them an amnesty. And then when they had children, those kids were presented with a proposition to strip public funds from illegal immigrants. They wouldn't be able to receive public benefits. This was the last time, I forgot what year it was, but this is the last time that California voted Republican. Because all of these children of illegal immigrants said, okay, then we vote Democrat because we want public funding for illegal immigrants. And then California's been blue ever since.
It's kind of the same thing with the Dreamers, too. I think that's why that's such a hot topic and why it's such a sensitive topic and why the Democrats are so invested in that vis-a-vis the Republicans.
It's their investment.
Yeah.
So a friend of mine just actually sent me a message and said that sometimes there are customs violations that ICE will pick people up for. Now, I'm not sure what kind of violation she might have had. He's a former law enforcement as well.
Okay.
But yeah,
I kind of think they arrested her because she was harboring a illegal immigrant at the minimum and a TdA Aragua member at the worst.
Yeah, but I've
Actually, not at the worst. The worst could be that she's in TdA as well, I guess.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, but that's the
just
thing that I'm
seems like if that were the case, then the police would arrest her. So it's quite strange. I just want to kind of vent about something. Earlier today, I saw
complain about your Taco Bell.
a tweet from the White House account on X, and it was about Abrego Garcia, actually, not this situation. And it was this like AI generated 4-panel cartoon, and the caption was like, "Cross illegally and join a gang, get deported," and end of story. And I just don't understand why it needs to get to that point where someone is committing monstrous crimes other than illegally crossing for us to justify deporting them. Why does it need to be you're literally MS-13 for us to feel okay about deporting you?
Just send them all home.
Why is the bar so low? I feel like our expectations are being set so low for what they're capable of doing. And we were promised and we mandated mass deportations, not deportations of just gang criminals.
Well, if you look at when I watch Fox and Friends in the morning, I wake up, I'm making waffles for the wife and the baby, and then I put on Fox and Friends. There's these commercials with Kristi Noem where she's like, leave now or else. And, the real thing is they say is you can leave now and then reapply to come back legally. And you can, but if you get caught here, then you're banned for life.
Yeah, I feel like that's also pretty low bar. Like, leave and then come back. I don't want them to come back.
I kind of don't think they
our
will.
laws.
Like my attitude is, the Trump administration is like, if you leave now, we promise you'll come back, and then as soon as you walk out, they just close the door and lock it.
Is that the plan?
I mean,
Do I need to trust it? Is that the plan that I need?
Well,
to
you
trust?
wouldn't trust it anyway.
I wouldn't trust it anyway, but.
Like, to be honest, you look at David Hogg in the DNC, and he said, we're going to put $20 million into primarying old incumbents who need to get out of the way. You should retire now before we come after you. And what happened? Dick Durbin says, I quit. It's the smart thing to do to say, it's like this leave and then you can maybe come back later. It probably gets rid of the largest amount of illegal immigrants because they fear getting banned for life.
I don't know. Call me naive, but I just thought mass deportations meant interior removals.
Who does it?
Millions.
Who?
And that's not really
Who does it?
happening.
Who does it?
I think that's what all the ICE, symbolics was with Dr. Phil, with Kristi Noem, going on those hunts in the city of Chicago and other big cities around the country. I think that's kind of what that was about.
Yeah, here's the reality. Mass physical removal is impossible.
You're talking millions of people. So yeah.
It's literally,
Why would it be promised then?
Get your
well,
vote.
because they didn't promise you that. You just think they did.
Well, yeah, that actually is true, because if you read between the lines or you listened between the lines, they were always saying, we're focusing on the criminals.
Indeed.
Even though they're all criminals, but the violent criminals.
They also did say, and are saying today, self-deportation will be the most effective means of removal.
And I mean, that may be true. But they have to apply pressure to the people that are hiring illegals.
How do we even track
Lock 'em
those
up.
results?
Which ones?
The
Self-deportation?
self-deportations. It seems like something you can't even quantify by the end of this administration.
I got to be honest, I think it might be impossible.
Yeah.
Especially, look, here's what we're looking at right now. The Trump administration's got, a year before squishy Republicans start crying because the children of illegal immigrants are demanding they defend illegal immigrants. And I mean, with all due respect, we've had members of Timcast call in and say, like, a family member's an illegal immigrant, they're getting deported. What do I do? And I say, you can go home. Like, you can bring your family home. This is what we've been talking about. You don't get to break our laws and take from the American people. It's just not a reality. But you got a year. At the same time, judges are issuing, rogue judges are issuing unconstitutional orders. You've got the media lying about due process. The new narrative that they're pushing is that Trump wants to strip trials away from illegal immigrants. This may shock you. Illegal immigrants never received trials. There is no trial due process for illegal immigrants. Never existed. And so they're lying because they're trying to stop Trump from being able to deport. A rogue judge will then enforce that. And then Trump deports what? Maybe a couple 100,000 before he's out of office?
Just for clarity, the narrative that they're pushing about due process, they're conflating illegals with people that are here looking for asylum. Asylees get a hearing about their asylum claims. Illegals just get sent out. But the Democrats are perfectly comfortable conflating those two things so that way the American public is confused.
Technically correct, but that's under Biden when he changed the rules. The actual rules, if you go to the immigration website, and as they've always been, is if you enter the country illegally outside of a port of entry, then you are subject to expedited removal.
Yeah.
What Joe Biden changed was he said, no, not if they say asylum. They made that app where people would go and before they came, they'd fill out the app, illegally enter the country, and then say, nope, I'm an asylum seeker. And then they'd get shuffled off to some registration center or something, and they'd say, okay, we'll give you a court date for your asylum. Then as soon as you left, they'd throw it in the garbage and say, never come back. So they were creating de facto permanent residence for these people. That's illegal. That's unconstitutional. That is criminal. Now under the Trump administration, they're going back to expedited removal. That's why we're seeing the border locked down. It's going to be tough. Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.